What do you want? You want the Cabover? Yep. The Peterbilt? Oh. Everybody wants the Peterbilt, buddy. Everybody wants the Peterbilt. So I was backing the trailer out today, and I had sent the trailer off to get the tarp on it. That's the tarp. I'll show you how it works here after a bit, after I get the cab. The cab control's all wired up, but that's the trailer, or that's the tarp. Here's the electric tarp winding system here. If you notice, it's got a piece of hydraulic hose in there, so it's flexible at the end. That's so when you roll the tarp, the end gate can still flip back and forth like this, and that'll allow that to twist in there. It's kind of a neat system. But I was backing it out today, and I noticed, well, my brake drum's about ready to fall off. Obviously, you guys know that I'm putting a lift axle on this, so I didn't have wheels on it and everything like that. Didn't remember to put any lug nuts on it to hold the brake drums on. So that could have been pretty interesting if that would have fell off on the road. Here's a kind of a unique thing about this is a Trailstar trailer, and it's an older one. It's an 88. I really like the trailer, actually, for how old it is. It's in really good shape. I really like the trailer. What I've always kind of wondered is, so East is one of the is a huge producer of aluminum end dumps. Trailstar's there. They're kind of a smaller company. That's kind of what I like about them. I think they focus on quality and that kind of stuff. So I do like their trailers. But East, they're made in Randolph, Ohio, I think. Randolph. Trailstars are made in Alliance, or at least they were made in Alliance. Then there's Mack trailers that are made, I can't remember what town, but it's just like 20 miles away or something like that, or whatever. All the major aluminum trailer manufacturers are all built in Ohio within like 50 miles from each other. Why is that? If anybody knows, put it down in the comments, because I'd really like to know. I'm assuming that, I don't know if somebody became, you know, if all these people, or all the designers, or all the people that had these companies all worked together at one point and just kept breaking off to start their own company, or if aluminum is really easy to get there, or sheeting's easy to get there, or I don't know. Why are all these end dump trailers built in that little pocket in Ohio? Just curious. If any of you guys know, let me know. Also, in doing some history, or looking up the history on Trailstar, it sounds like they've kind of went out of business, come back into business, and kind of been bought out by some employees and stuff over time. And that's kind of what I like about it too, is it's the employee. It sounds like the employees really cared about the company. But I was able to call them and ask them about that axle on that trailer, and they were able to look up all the records from back then in '88 to be able to find exactly what axle was in it, all the specs on that trailer and everything like that. That trailer was one of 4 trailers that were bought by one company, and so there were 4 identical trailers built, all in order. So I don't know, really impressed with Trailstar, really impressed with the company. Any of you guys know anybody at Trailstar, point them to the videos, because I'd really like some mud flaps, or maybe some new decals for the trailer. Is that asking too much? Had to run in the house, get the parts for the cab kit for the truck. Gotta put the cab switch in the Kenworth to run the tarp. Once I do that, I can show you how the tarp operates and everything like that. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to figure out where I'm gonna put the switch. I like everything factory, so my goal would be to put it in the dash here, in the factory switches here. Got a little switch, blank switch plate here, chrome switch plate that was in there. I just pulled it out. This is the switch for the tarp. doesn't quite fit. It's, you know, Kenworth, these switches are like, I want to say like $7,500 a pop from Kenworth if you buy them from them. So they're super expensive. But I got plenty of blanks here. I got a blank here, a blank here, a blank here, and then 2 spares here. So it'd be nice to throw this into one of those holes to make it work. What would even be nicer is to find a Kenworth switch that was a 3-way switch, kind of similar to the Jake brake one here, that would be able, that you'd be able to just use for the tarp opening and closing. However, I just don't think I'm going to be able to fit this switch in there, and I don't know if I'll be able to find a switch. I'm sure I can, and I can always switch it over one day. However, I do need to set up my tag axle and my dump valve and my end gate switches, and I'm going to set those up on the dash. I'm going to try to put all 3 of them next to each other here up on the dash somewhere, probably in this section here. I'll move the tank heat switch over to here next to the def switch, which I definitely don't need anymore. And I'll probably just end up putting the tarp switch right down here next to the PTO controls. That way they're all kind of next to each other and everything like that. It comes with a really nice panel, although it's big, but it looks nice. So let's see how that fits in there. That fits in there pretty good. I'll probably just end up putting it in there. It looks like it gets in the way of your feet, but it really doesn't. It's actually pretty clean down there. So that way all the trailer controls will be right next to each other there down there, the tarp and the PTO and everything like that. So my hand can just move back and forth between them. So that's where it's going to end up. Next thing I got to do is I got to access the battery boxes and be able to hook up the solenoid for the control. Obviously the power doesn't run through the switch to go back to the tarp because it takes a lot of power. 6-gauge wire running back to the tarp. So the switch itself actuates the solenoid, and the solenoid operates the tarp. So I'm going to have to end up putting the solenoid down close to the battery as possible. And I'm going to put a circuit breaker down there too. So let's get the battery box off. Okay, here's the battery box. I'm probably going to try to, if it'll fit, maybe mount this inside the battery box here somewhere. That might not be too shabby right there. And then run the cables up and out. Maybe put it down here. Well, no, that's that. To get the batteries out, you have to take that door off. So maybe out here. I think that looks good right there. I think that's where we're gonna. I gotta see if the battery box cover fits on there. I don't know. Maybe even up here in the sleeper would work. I don't know. Fine. We'll figure it out. It has been decided. I'm going to mount the solenoid right here. Not for any other reason other than the fact that I'm absolutely lazy, and these 2 holes that are drilled in here are already the same spot they need to be. So I'm just going to ream those out a little bigger so I can get a 1/4 inch bolt in there, and we're going to throw that sucker up there. Then I'm going to just pound a hole through here, and so we can run cables and wires and everything through there, and should be good to go. So let's get to it. Okay, the kit provides a whole bunch of 6-gauge wire here, so I'm going to go ahead and put my terminal ends on. Ouch, that hurt. Okay, well the instructions say that I have to mount a circuit breaker on the positive side here, and it wants to be as close to the battery as possible, so I'm going to mount it about 8 inches down the line here, and cut it. Oh God, maybe. Oh, I gotta get a different wire cutters. Where are these things there? These things work good. Oh, those work way better. Well, the kit doesn't come with any shrink wrap, but I'm going to shrink wrap it anyways, because on the circuit breaker it sticks out a little bit, so I want to make sure that we're covered there. So I'm going to throw a little shrink wrap on there. Okay, we're back at it today. I just really got sick of working on this thing and I didn't want to do it anymore. So, see, my battery's about dead in the camera. I got to replace that. I got to run the control lines for the switch for the tarp. And I also got to run a line of wire up there for the tag axle and all that stuff too. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that. Yeah, so swap a battery out in you and let's do that. Here's something that I love about this truck in particular. I'm sure a lot of trucks are kind of like this too, but obviously once I get these gauges off here, I get full access to the firewall and all the grommets and everything. There's plenty of spare grommets that are drilled through the firewall back there. I'll run you around the other side here in a second, but it's so easy to run wire up in here. Here's a 7-strand trailer wire that I ran in here, so I'll run that back to a plug on the that I run back to the bib bar back there near the air hookups and everything. And that way I'll have 7 strands of wires running from the switch panel up here back to there, so I can hook everything up. It's super convenient, super easy to get to. Just plugs in right there. Then all I gotta do is tie the wire up with the bundles that run down underneath the sleeper and everything, and I'll run it back here to the bib bar there. So, and plug it and put a 7-way plug in there. I had somebody tell me once that there's no such thing as using too many zip ties. So I'm going to use a whole bunch here to make sure that this is tied up neat and out of the way and where it is we need to be. Oh, back out. So I'm wiring up the main power for the tarp. The switch runs from the dash all the way down here. It goes to the solenoid here, which is connected directly and protected to the battery, and then wire runs back under the sleeper back to the bib bar, and that ultimately runs back to the trailer where I plug it in with this. It's just a positive and a negative, so it's a pretty simple setup. It just runs the power back and forth, and it switches it backwards or forwards to tell the tarp system which direction it should be going. So I'm gonna run the I gotta hook the wires up to it real quick. Should be quick and easy, and I'll go from there. Here's one thing I'm sure I've done a million times, and I'm sure a lot of other people have done too. They've connected the wires to on the connector to the connected the wires to the connector, mind you, and forgotten to put the actual handle and the housing over it first. Always remember to put the housing over it first, because you will always end up having to take it all back apart. It really sucks when you're doing a 7-strand wire, because you got to unhook all 7 strands to get it back together. Unless you know the other end of the wire is fine and open, and you don't need to deal with that. So luckily the end of this is marked, so I know exactly which wires go to which. Always remember when you're putting the wires in not to let any little strands come out that can contact the other side and stop and start a short. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, that's done. Now run the housing back up here. Put the housing back on it. Foley's over here driving around. Need 4-wheel drive, buddy. He's figured it all out now. He's got reverse and forward and all that stuff. Low gear, high gear, he's got it all figured out. Pretty good for a 2-year-old. Don't forget to remember to tighten down the retainer strap in here. That'll keep your wires from pulling out of the housing, because somebody will inadvertently yank on the cord at some point. So I got this end done. Okay, I'm going to run this end here to the airlines here, tie them up with my airlines, because the plugs are right next to the airlines, so it shouldn't, as long as the length there is fine. If I had time, I'd take that coil off and recoil it, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll probably do it later, which means I'll probably never do it. But I'm just going to zip tie it for now, put it up there with it, run the wire back through and back to the solenoid, and we should be good. Okay, all the crappy wiring's done. So now all I gotta do is wire in my switch, or mount up my switch and wire it in, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna end up mounting the switch right here next to the PTO. So to do that, I'm just gonna run some self-tappers up into the dash. I'm gonna make sure I don't have any wires or any switches or anything underneath there that the self-tappers are gonna hit. So I'll go ahead and do that. The tarp is all wired in. Everything's done for the tarp. The only thing I have left to do is to wire in my, come on, get in there. Wire in my 7-way wire there for all my other controls on the trailer. I'm probably gonna not do that tonight. I don't know, we'll see. Probably won't take very long. What I'm doing now is just putting some gasket, some good stuff, or right stuff, or whatever this stuff's called, maker around these wires going in through the firewall, because I didn't have the right size grommets. So I want to seal these up so we don't get any cold air or dust or anything like that. This stuff works really good. I'm going to top off my tank here, because I know that when I unhooked it once before, I lost a little bit of fluid. So you can see I'm down here. I actually think it might take more fluid than I have, so we'll see. I know I'm pushing the limits on this 50-gallon tank with this trailer. I think it would rather have a 70-gallon tank, but I think 50 will do we'll see. We'll run it up here tonight. We'll see how far I can get it to go up. Well, Cole decided to not listen to Dad. Try to get out. Back up. Back up. My God, he might get out of there. Oh my God, he might be my kid after all. Never mind the snot running down his face. Look at that, he got out of there. Keep going. Rocket. Stop. Go the other way. Well, I have one last thing I got to do. I got to measure the tub of the trailer for the liner that I got to order. Basically, they just need to know the length is the big thing, but they're also gonna, it's 3/8 inch thick liner, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna score the corners where it rolls up the side. So I'll kind of explain it to you when I get in there. Why don't you climb up here with me? That way if I fall, you can fall with me. Yeah. Oh. Obviously, yeah. The air suspension doesn't like me. Fat. Oh. Okay, you can see there's this, they put some of this stuff over the top of this so when I was driving home it wouldn't flap against the cuts. They also put one down on those holes too, so I gotta fix those. I think for the time being I'm just gonna take some steel channel and cover those up. Those are those, and then I'll show you a couple little other spots I need to address. Okay, back here the floor is worn through at the end. Kind of happens a lot on these older ones especially, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a plate of aluminum back there, either tack it in or bolt it in. It's going to have a plastic line. Like I said, it's going to have a plastic liner on it anyway, so it's not going to matter. If I bolt it in, it's still going to slide over it just fine. But where the suspension is welded to the bottom of the tub here, it's started to crack through too, so I want to get those filled in, get those taken care of, yeah. The liner will come in and it'll come up the side and it'll go over underneath these pieces here. So I got to pop all those pieces off when we do it. The tarp system, like I said, Shur Co tarp. They just, because this is going to be hauling gravel, they didn't put a whole bunch of bows in, and what they did is they put these fiberglass bows in here, and these are flexible. That way when gravel hits them or other things hit them, rocks or whatever we're hauling, hit them, they can bend and flex a little bit before they break. And then they just put the two in the center to support everything. So when a loader comes in, they can just basically load, scoop in the front, scoop in the back, and they can kind of stay away from these bows altogether. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my measurements here, and we'll get done for the night. I'll probably finish up this video. Well, my length is 36 feet exactly. That was one of the measurements they needed. They also need the measurement of, they need the floor of the trailer from the bottom of the radius here to the bottom of the radius here, which is going to be 81 inches. And then they need the length of the actual curve, which is a little tougher to do. I'll show you a fabric tape measure. It's 5 inches. So 5-inch radiuses, 81 inches of bed space, and 36 total feet, plus about 36 feet and about a 1/2 inch to the end from the front to the tailgate. It's a square box, so I don't need to measure front to back. Not too worried about that. So what they'll do is when they get the liner is actually wider than the bed, so it'll curl up the sides and it'll go underneath these little pieces here, and that way when gravel comes down, no gravel can get behind the liner. What they're going to do is they're going to take basically a skill saw, and where these radiuses are, they're going to go in and they're going to cut reliefs into the liner itself so that the liner can curl up and fold right in that area. So they want those measurements so they can put the right amount of curve in there, so the liner will sit and lay nice and flat in here. So I'm going to send that off. I'm getting the liner from Hornplastics in Fargo. They've done really well. Or they've done pretty decent by me. I got a couple different quotes. I just never pulled the trigger on it. And now after that big ass blizzard in Texas, and which has driven prices up for everything, it seems like, because all the resin suppliers are down there where they make the liners from. So the prices went way up on that. I should have ordered it 6 months ago. Literally, she told me, the rep told me to wait until March because they were having a big sale. Well, I waited for the sale to get 10% off, and it only saved me like $19, and on a very, very expensive tarp, or a very expensive liner. So, but we're gonna get that ordered up, measured up, cut up. I'm gonna install it. You guys are gonna get to see me mess with that. That's gonna be interesting. But yeah, there we are. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me during all this other stuff. Trying to get back to the Cabover, still waiting on that hub. Once that gets in, we can get going full bore on that thing. When I'm looking at all the analytics and everything that YouTube supplies me, they tell me that most of my watchers aren't even subscribed, that they're people that are actually searching for it, or these videos happen to come up in their feed. If you're one of those, thanks for watching, thanks for clicking in. I really appreciate it. But hit that subscribe so you can see, I mean, I do a lot of different things. I work a lot of different stuff, and kind of focused on that Cabover, but obviously I got a busy life, and some of it's kind of interesting, I think. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like buttons if you like it, leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think, if you want to see more of something or less of something, or what you like and don't like about the videos. I try to answer everybody right now. So let me know what you think, and thanks for tuning in. So God bless you guys. See you later.